Okay, let's go.
Right. I was born on the 17th of October 1928, a day to be noted in the calendar of some significance. And I was born on the south side of Glasgow, Oatlands, and it was the most densely populated area in Europe, which included parts of the Gorbals. I was number 7 in a family of 8. I had 4 big sisters and 2 big brothers and a wee brother. And we all lived in a room and kitchen in Oatlands, which, as I say, was one of the most densely populated, and my family contributed to that.
and why should everybody? You said that everybody you should know your date of birth. Why is that? Why should folk know your date of birth?
Because at that time there wasn't very many really handsome babies born at that time, and this was of note. I was a very big baby. As a matter of fact, I never grew out of it. I really was a very. My mother tells me I was one of the biggest babies. I was a big, and she said ever since then I've just been a big lump. But it was a big family. They're all big, but I was one of the heaviest. So my mother tells me.
What was the name of yours? What address were you in Crammond Street?
That was number 44 Crammond Street, and we lived up number 44. It was quite a 4-story building, and there was quite big families in each of these 3 houses in each landing. But we were by far the biggest, and we moved from there. As I did once I got married.
Can you remember the other families that lived up the close?
Yes. There was the McCalls, Mr. and Mrs. McCall, and they had a wee dog called Pete, and a wee terrier. And next door to us was Mr. and Mrs. Mohan, but she called her Moan. And through from that was Mr. and Mrs. McLean, Sissy McLean. Below that was my BB captain, George Perry, Mrs. Kerr and Mrs. McCall. And above that was Mrs. Freer and Mrs. Park and an old lady which I don't remember her name. It was a very respectable close until we came to live there.
And you brought the tone of the neighbourhood down?
I've got what?
Your family brought the tone of the neighbourhood down?
Yes, made the tone. That's why they never made a song from it anyway. It was terrible, yes. We became the biggest family in the street, and everybody knew the Woodses. There was Annie, Jim, Grace, Kathy, Nellie, John, Allan and Robert.
Wow.
Quite a famous family. Without doubt the biggest in the street.
And what school did you go to? What primary school did you go to?
Well, there was Wolsley St School, which was named Wolsley St because it was in Wolsley St. Which was a very simple and I remember, now I've got reputed to have a great memory. As a matter of fact, my son John was on today, and he was wanting to remember things, and I was able to go way back when I was a wee boy. I remember my first day going along to school. I was 5, taking my mother's hand, walking to school. And when I got to school, I was quite nervous. But once I got into the class, I'll never forget the teacher. Her name was Miss Balance. And to see me, she was very tall. And she was beautiful. I think I fell in love with her because she had lovely blonde hair. But she wasn't my teacher. She was only to enroll, but I never forgot her. Miss Valence. And my brother John had been there just before me, and my sister Nellie just before him. And then after I was there about 3 years, my young brother Robert came and joined the same school, Wolsley St School.
Do you remember anything that happened in particular at school? You know, did you get the belt very much?
Oh, I got the belt. As a matter of fact, the school had a big bell outside the building, a great big bell, and the janitor used to ring that. and that was a warning to get to school. And if you didn't get before it stopped, if you arrived late after the bell had stopped, you were taken into the headmaster, who was Mr. Shanklin. He was assistant headmaster, Mr. Shanklin. And the headmaster was a tall man with grey hair, Mr. Craig. But if you were late, you had to go straight into Mr. Shanklin's room, and you got the strap.
Right.
For being late, you put your hand out, and you got the strap. And I always remember getting the strap, and it went too far up,
Yeah.
and it hit my wrist about a couple of inches up beyond my wrist,
Yeah.
and it turned kind of black and blue. And I think my mother was going to do something about that, because we shouldn't have been getting the strap for being late for school. Anything else?
Aye. I mean, there must be. Was there any kind of unusual incidents that happened at school that you can remember?
I'll remember the boy in my class, John McVicar. He was a wee thin boy with a shock of kind of reddish hair, and he was very frail, and he died. He actually died, and we were only about 10 or 11. And I remember in the school, my teacher, Miss Blythe, what she did, I don't remember how she organised it, but we all had to bring money in to the school.
Yeah.
And she bought a wreath
Yeah.
to take, and there was 40 odds in the class. But I've often thought about this, but I don't know why Miss Blythe picked me and another boy to take the wreath and deliver it down to John McVicar's mother for the funeral.
Yeah.
That was a very sad.
It's a really sad thing to do. It must have been really sad. The whole class must have been
Very,
really
very
affected
sad.
by it.
Oh, it was very, 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 very sad. And I remember going, and I often thought back and I wondered, why did I get picked? There was over 40 in the class.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think it was because I was a big boy for my years. And I stood out with a big shock of blonde hair. And I thought, it must be that because I was one of the biggest. And they sent me around with a wreath to this wee boy, John McVicar, that died. He was a wee frail boy, right enough. That was a sad, sad business.
And did you play much football at school?
No, not at the primary school. We did at the secondary school. We used to go to the Queen's Park recreation grounds.
Yeah.
And we played football. It wasn't something I was very good at. I was very good at gyms and drill.
Aye.
As a matter of fact, when we were getting an award at the end of the season, I got an award for drill because I did all my drill with enthusiasm. All the exercises, I just loved it. And I still have the book upstairs. The book was called Master Man Ready. And it was Mr. Wilson, my teacher. He was giving out prizes and I got the prize for drill. And that was the book Master Man Ready to Allan Woods for drill.
Wow. Well, that was really good. You've never told me that before.
Have I not?
No, that you get a book
True, anyway.
for drill. I'll not send you upstairs to get the book.
No.
But
It's there somewhere.
what did you do at school? At primary school, what did you do like at playtime? What kind of games did you play?
Well, we played netball. There was a post in the Wolsley School where a net's hanging out the school. We used
Aye.
to play netball, throwing the ball into the net. But that was all. I was quite shy. I didn't get involved in all the rough and tumble somehow.
Aye.
I was too big. I was big compared to the other boys.
Aye.
And we used to play. What they would do, they would all bigger row and pull each other. And one at the end would get down and would pull him and trail him all over the class, all over the playground. That was how we filled in that lunch. I don't know, I must have been kind of shy or too big or something. I was always a wee bit bigger than everybody else.
I remember you telling me a story, and I don't know whether it was primary school, but you said that you were round the backs, you were playing round the backs, in the back of the tenements, and one of your there was railings there with big spikes on them.
That's right.
And something happened to somebody.
Jim Brownlee. Jim Brownlee, who was a couple of years older than me, but he was a very nervous boy. When he came to talk to you, he was all hitting your pavement, talking to you, he was hitting your pavement, hitting your chest all the time,
All right.
talking to you. And there was railings between all the closes, all the backs.
Aye.
And they were quite, well, I would be about 5 feet high. And they were all spikes. And I've often reflected on that why they put dividing railings between all the closes with spikes on them.
I know, it's
The
quite,
families all living there.
it's quite barbaric.
And what happened to Jim Brownlee was he was climbing up. You used to put your knees between them and climb up, and you could climb over that and go over into the next back. And he was doing that, and this is absolutely true. And he slipped, and the spike went right into his throat up there, into his throat. And Mr. Brownlee came up and get him off the spike. Now, he didn't die or anything, but they had to take him away to the hospital. It was a terrible, terrible thing. As a matter of fact, eventually they come round. I don't think that was the reason, but I think it was the beginning of the war and they needed metal for the war.
Aye.
And they come round with this machine and they cut the heads off all these
Spikes.
railings to go to the war effort.
So when would that have been then? So you were born in 28.
I was born in that was 1939, 1939, 1940.
And that's when they took the spikes off.
That's when I took the spikes off.
So you would just be
What age would I be?
12, 13, something
I'd
like
be
that.
11 or 12, something like that.
Aye. It's quite amazing, really, thinking back to that time.
Aye.
I mean, I remember a lot of railings. There was a lot of railings with spikes on them. You don't get. You,
They were everywhere.
you see a lot with the top of the spike cut off now. There was a lot of
Well,
spikes.
on reflection, these buildings were all built for families.
Mm-hmm.
Why they put dividing rails with spikes on them
Aye.
at 5 feet high?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very, as I say, Jim Brownlee could have killed himself. It's like looking at thing right up
It
his
could have
throat.
done. He was quite fortunate.
What?
He was quite fortunate not to have killed himself.
I know, it could very easy. I don't remember, they got him off the thing, but I don't remember. I don't know what happened to him. I mean, he was all right, he survived.
Aye.
Jim Brownlee.
But
It was what you would call a spy. It was only an only son with 2 sisters. And he used to get everything. I always remember a wee boy. When it came to Christmas, he got all smashing presents.
aye.
You know, and compared to what we got a wee present for Christmas. He always got everything. You know, bikes and roller skates and everything. It was very well done by Jim Brownlee.
What did you ever play with? What is it you call it? Is it a gird?
Oh, aye. I remember having to get a clique.
Aye.
And you get, aye. I never, not me personally. I didn't
Aye.
actually play with it. They were quite common.
Aye.
They were quite common. The best thing we played at was on the buildings. All the building had tenement building. When it came to the bottom of the building, it didn't just end. There had a wee extra bit of wall on it, about say 1.5 feet high, with a ledge.
Aye.
And what you could do, play with your ball and go to the edge of the pavement and throw the ball, and when it got the ledge, it stoated back up to you.
Aye.
And you kept playing. Rather than hitting the wall and stoating down back up, you hit that and it come bounding up to you. That was a great game to play at.
So it was a bit equivalent to Kirby, but you were playing Wally. No, you play Kirby. Well, maybe you didn't play Kirby, but because of when I was young, we'd play Kirby. You'd throw the ball or head it to see if you could bounce it off the curb and back.
Oh, I never played that, no.
Aye, well that's what I would have played when I was younger. So you played that, but it was on the wall. You played it.
Aye.
But did you do much in Richmond Park?
You only went across there sometimes, now and again. You know, it wasn't a regular. We played about the street, and we played in what was the Cowp. Right, my street was Crammond Street. There was only, from the main road, Rutherglen Road, Rosebery Street, Crammond Street and Tory Glen Street.
Yeah.
And Tory Glen Street was a football park, Shawfield Juniors football park. And next to that was what was known as the Cowp. And there was works that used to drop the slag. There was a railroad, and they brought the slag out the works and put the slag. But it was a big Cowp, and there was an old pond there.
Was that between Oatlands and Rutherglen?
Rutherglen, yes. That's exactly where it was. And when you're up past there towards Rutherglen, you passed White's chemical work. And it was always a smell there, I don't know. It was a chemical work. And the burn that ran by there was always a funny colour, which must have come from the chemicals from this. It was just White's chemical work. And you walk past there up into Rutherglen.
Yeah.
That was all I can remember about that.
Right, I'll need to. That's quite a long time actually. You've been on this. It's about 17 minutes or something like that. You've been on this, which is quite a long video actually. So you can say goodbye.
Well, goodbye to whoever wants to listen. It's been a very privilege for you to listen to me.
It's nice to see that you've got humble in your old age.
You've got a sense of humour.
Aye. Okay.